Hi, this is the first video blog I've done, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to try to explain national flood proofs of loss, so it's important for everybody to realize I'm really talking about national flood proofs of loss following Superstorm Sandy, because that's where we're getting most of our questions. Even last week we had an attorney refer us his national flood insurance case because he thought it was too confusing. So I'm going to try to get down to the brass tacks very quickly in this blog. I talked about it in our October 9, 2013 blog, if you go back to that, and it has to do with statute of limitations traps that I think are going to lead to a lot of malpractice claims, unfortunately, against attorneys as well as public adjusters for not getting lawsuits filed on time for national flood claims, and second of all, not having proofs of loss filed properly before the statute of limitations comes about. First of all, you have to have a proper proof of loss filed before filing a lawsuit. So there's a little bit of a trap in here. National Flood has now extended the time for filing flood proofs of loss to approximately April the 28th, 2014. That's an 18-month extension from the time of the original storm. The problem is the statute of limitations for national flood policies read you have 1 year from the date of first partial or full denial to bring a lawsuit in the federal district court where the loss occurred. So you can see that the time of the statute of limitations might be before the time of the proof of loss. And while there's all kinds of discussion by FEMA, politicians, and possibly even in Congress acting to change that, at least right now there is a huge trap. So let me give you an example. Suppose on January the 2nd, 2013, National Flood sent out a letter to a policyholder saying, we disapprove of your entire claim, but here's a check for what we think is owed and the estimate for how it came about. You would have 1 year from that date to have filed a lawsuit in the federal district court in the law where the loss happened for you to perfect your statute of limitation time for a national flood claim. Okay, so if that was that's the hypothetical, January 2nd, you then have a year, January 2nd, 2014, to have your lawsuit filed. The trick is, in this particular case, is to have your federal proof of loss form all the way through with all the documentation that they've requested properly completed before that date, because you have to have a proof of loss filed before you can file a lawsuit. Even though FEMA's extended it to April, that's only really for cases where there hasn't been a partial or full denial before that time. I discussed this a little bit on our blog on October the 9th, and so it's very important that as you go through the filling out of the proof of loss, you do it properly, because you're not going to chance to get it done after you've already filed the lawsuit. Fill out every single form on every single area that they got. There's 9 of them. It's a lot more complicated than what most people think. It's sort of like filling out an income tax return. And if you haven't filled out a complex income tax return, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you haven't filled out a complex proof of loss before for federal flood, you don't know what I'm talking about either. Give yourself plenty of time to send these in so you don't get stuck in that trap. We'll be back later on some other things that are coming up after Superstorm Sandy, especially regarding wind statute of limitations in New Jersey. If you'd like to get more information regarding statute of limitations and national flood insurance policies, you can email me. A great thing is just to put comment questions onto the blog. Everybody can read it. Our law librarian from the firm, as well as other attorneys, might be able to quickly respond to you. But our blog is propertyinsurancelawcom. You know where it's at, or you wouldn't be looking at me right now. My email address is wmerlin@merlinlawgroup.com. Thanks, and I look forward to your questions and comments.